I wanted to do an updated shop tour. I haven't done one in a while. I've had a couple additions since the last one, and hopefully some of the things I did can help you with your shop, because everything I've done woodworking wise, I'd say 90% I learned from YouTube. So I like to give back when I can. So we'll start down at this end with the dust collector. So this PM 1300, it's wired for 110 currently because I didn't want to put another 220 outlet in. It works fantastic. I was having an issue when I did some of the adjustments I'm going to show you to the dust collection system. I was losing CFM a lot, and I was tearing my hair out to see what the issue was, but it was something simple. I just had to take out the ring that's in all dust collectors to prevent large pieces of wood from going through and damaging your impeller, because it was totally clogged. So once I fixed that, now it sucks really well. And since I have the separator, I don't really need it. So that worked really well and got the dust collection going. Nothing new with the wood storage. Table saw is the same. I think the shark guard I had, but I got the upgraded one, so it's the adjustable splitter as opposed to the fixed. This thing works really well. The dust that's on there is I was doing some making some cuts with it without it on because they were I couldn't make them with the guard on. Awesome setup, not very expensive. If you have a jet, this is an Exacta jet JTAS 10XL-1. It's an awesome addition, way better than the stock guard that goes through the back, that attaches through the back of the saw. Up top is the only wooden blast gate that I have. I made that because I saw so many people making them. I just wanted to see if I could do it, which I did. Works well. And then I made a bracket to hold the 4-inch branch line, which goes in over there. Works really well. Over here, I've been changing where I'm keeping some of my mobile stuff. The jet bandsaw, that's on a mobile base. The integrated base on the Grizzly joiner, which I'm going to replace this year with a 8-inch helical head parallelogram. This is still an awesome joiner, but I just want a larger one from when I'm running bigger pieces. And then the DeWalt DW735, I believe that is. I've been keeping stuff over here because I got a couple things going on over there in my main shop area, and keeping them out of the way gives me more room to work. One of the new additions is the router table. It used to be sit back there, and I used the Dust Right hose to connect to it when I used it. Now I changed dust collection, put a Y in, and gave it its own blast gate. Normally it's pulled out a little more. I have it pushed back. That's why there's some bends in the hose just to get it out of the way. But I have it over here so that I can pull it out and run really long pieces of stock through it when I'm making molding runs, and it doesn't get out of the way. Where it was over there, if I was going left to right, it was kind of not enough space for it. I have been switching over to the metal blast gates. They work way better than the plastic ones. They don't get filled up. The main difference is they're open on the end here. So the sawdust goes out there and they don't get jammed up, and you can open and close them. And I just have the foil tape there, so when they're closed, it sucks the tape down and you don't have any CFM loss. Well, minimal. Some other people had asked what's the best way to attach the metal blast gates to your system. The way I did it, I just took a piece of 4-inch pipe, screwed it to the blast gate. This one I actually caulked around the joint where this plastic meets the metal. And then just, I don't know, friction fit in. So that's how I attach mine. It works really well. If anyone's thinking about how to do it. So as long as you have some scrap 4-inch and you're putting it into a fitting, do it like that and you'll be good. It doesn't leak. These are the ones I'm replacing because, as you can see, this one I've hacked the corners out so the sawdust will come out and not prevent it from closing. I'm definitely trying to get rid of all those. I think I have 1 or 2 more to replace. On to this side of the shop, one of the newest additions, as you can see, is the Jet 2550 drum sander. This thing is awesome. I used it last week for that top, which I'll go over, before I got the infeed and outfeed tables, which came yesterday. So I have them installed. I was just lining them up. I got to do the back side. Now, right now I have them flush parallel. When I read to the end, there's two sets of directions I got. One that came with the tables and one that came with the sander. And it just said you should keep them a hair lower so that if you have a piece of wood that's cupped, it'll work out better. So I may drop it down a hair. Of course, I noticed that after I leveled the one side. Anyway, this thing is awesome. I used it on this cherry top. It made it dead flat. Awesome. It cuts down sanding big stuff a lot. So awesome tool. It was 15% off with the coronavirus discount that they were running, free shipping, and also you can see it was damaged during shipping, so they took another 150 off. So I got this thing for like 16 something. It was a steal, I think. And I don't have anything else on that. Just a couple projects. Black walnut desk is pretty much done. This top I'm going to use to make a video for the 2550 because I want to run that through both sides and wrap that project up. What other? Oh, the miter saw station. Adjusted the dust collection area. So it used to go. This is Jay Bates' design. I love it. I've had it actually probably 2 years. The dust collection area, containment area, would start probably from that drawer to that drawer, really big. And I do have a bigger miter saw. The sliding DeWalt takes up a lot of real estate. But I wanted to make it better to collect more dust because I'm a little anal when it gets to that. So what I did is I put a partition there and a partition right there. So it makes the containment area smaller. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this area yet, so I just have my dominoes in there. And I had this piece of plexiglass line around. Switch hands. So that's just in there to help with the airflow. There we go. Never wants to stay when I'm doing a video. There we go. All right, and then I also, this side. So what I did over here, I wasn't sure if I wanted to put more mahogany handles on because the drawer sizes were different and it wasn't going to look as good. So what I did is I just left this with no handle because I can just grab it from the side right here. And that's going to be, I haven't filled it up yet, mostly like marking tools, safety glasses, and my tape measure, what I use all the time. And then I needed to mount my square in my marking gauge. I wanted it somewhere easily accessible because I use them for everything. So I mounted them on there and it looks like it's just a display, but it's really a drawer, which I'm going to put all my squares and stuff in there. Just kind of thrown in there right now. So that made the dust containment area a lot smaller. Two other things I did. Put two angled pieces of plywood back there. I still got a notch out for the cord so that it can move because when you're angling the saw, the cord, you need more or less cord. And it angles it back towards the 4-inch dust port. And then up top here, this piece was already here. It's a support for the top. That was part of the design. But what I did is screwed in a piece of plywood behind it because that used to be open, and it made the overall area in the dust containment area smaller. So no dust, when this is on, no dust comes out. It all keeps the fine dust in there that I can see. It doesn't get obviously all the dust because that's just not how it's designed, but it works really well. And then this piece is just here. I actually have two 4-inch. That's for doing like a big cleanup. It just makes it easier. But when I'm not doing a cleanup, I keep just a piece of plywood over there so it keeps the suction coming out of that back hole. And if I haven't showed you before, I just have a big gulp underneath with the blast gate. It works really well. So that's one upgrade I did during this. Trying to think if there's any other changes. Oh, back here. I have this hose. So this fitting first because everyone always wants to know part numbers. PowerTech 70171. This fits perfectly into here. If I can get this out one-handed. Let's see, there we go. So that goes right into there. On the other end, this is a Bosch hose. I have a video link to it if you want to check out my page. Bosch hose, this fits directly onto my DF500 Festool Domino, and it also fits right on the back of my DeWalt orbital sander. So this hose is probably 30 bucks. It's probably, I don't know, 15 feet long or so, or at least. and compared to the Festool hose, which is like, I don't know, $100 or $200. So if you want a cheaper alternative, that works awesome. And it fits right into your 4-inch, if you have 4-inch fittings. It fits right in, friction fit. That's a newer option. I moved my drill press for like the 50th time. Now it's over there. It's out of the way, it works, and I don't need dust. I had dust collection set up for it. That's what this was at its old location, but I don't really need it. So it's not set up right now. The quarter clamps from Woodpeckers are new. They're on a fresh cleat, so I can just take that whole thing down to where I'm working and use the clamps and everything, and then put it back together and throw it back up there. Up there, my clamp rack, I don't have all my clamps up there because I'm using a couple right now, but I think I'm going to have to make another one, probably like right here, another French cleat, which that is, so I can move that down and put another one up there, or vice versa, because I'm getting to the limit of my clamps. And these used to be all organized, but now I kind of got to double them up sometimes because I'm running out of room. So I might do that today. The measure twice sign, you always got to have something like that in your shop. I think it's a cool piece of shop decoration, or whatever you want to call it. And some half-finished projects. I was messing around making an address sign. There's a glued up face grain cutting board that I may cut up and do an end grain, not sure. This one is all this, and this was a butcher block top my wife's niece had, and she didn't have it anymore, so she told me, I cut it up and glued it back together and make her a small cutting board so she can get some use out of it. That, I think, is all the upgrade. Oh, no, last one. These Barina 8-foot lights. Let me turn them off. Shop Hacks group on Facebook. Awesome page. He did a review on them, so I bought 10 of them. It was ridiculously cheap. And you can daisy chain 4 of them together, which I did. 2 sets of 4, and they make it like daylight down here. I don't know how well that's going to translate in the video, but it is. I couldn't ask for brighter light, and definitely more economical, and they were easy to install. And then you just plug them in. You can hardwire them. There's a couple different options and adapters. They have an adapter you can go directly into each end if you want to butt them up with each other. They're awesome. I highly recommend them. Still have the wind air filter. Probably gonna have to change this filter, but it's worked really well. I know a lot of people ask about that. And I think that's about everything. One other thing, addition, I have the clear stock guides. I think that's what they're called. Clear stock on the Jessom table. They work really well, but when you're running really long, like 8-foot pieces, they tend to loosen up and give you a little bit of gap. So that's why I have the clamps on there with the extra pine scraps, because I set them for the exact height I was running, and it didn't move at all when I was making mold. Actually, that setup is when I was doing the table edge on the top of this cherry top, which came out really nice. And that's about it. I hope somebody got something out of it that you can add into your shop. I'm going to blow off this aquarium stand that's getting picked up today. That's finished. It's getting painted. That's why I used select pine for the majority of it. One thing I did do, which I haven't used in a while, is use just regular framing lumber 2x4s for the base. You can't really see the bottom because it's covered in plywood. Well, you can see some of it. And the top, this has to hold a 75-gallon tank, and the tank is probably going to be 600 pounds because it's like 8 pounds per gallon. So I wanted to make sure it was extremely strong, and then I just made it look nice on the outside with the pine. And then I used my normal clips in a mortise so that when the top moves, expands and contracts, it won't cause any damage to it. It'll be able to move in those holes side to side. Really not much, but front to back is how it'll expand. So I use those clips. That's how I usually attach most of my tops. I believe that's the last thing I got. My basement shop, it's about, I think my basement's like 1,700 square feet, and I'm using, well, I guess a little less than half of it. That's that side. Then it goes back into there. So I have room for expansion, but right now I'm doing pretty good. Got to clean up back here. I don't like the way that looks. It's a mess. I'm going to do that today. So Have a good weekend. And it's my shop.